Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. So today I'm going to be analyzing a mega-gengar-ex deck, and the basic idea is sort of that it's going to function as though you would typically with a Donphan deck, but there's definitely some advantages and disadvantages to this deck as opposed to a Donphan deck. So first of all, one of the advantages is that Gengar EX is going to be our main Pokemon, and we're going to be focusing on using his Dark Corridor attack. So immediately, one of the disadvantages that you guys can see is that it costs a total of 3 energies. So one Psychic energy in combination with the 2 colorless energies. But one of the benefits, one of the things that I really actually like about this is that albeit hitting 60 isn't necessarily that much damage, um, he switches out and also poisons our opponent's Pokemon, so that's pretty cool. And also the fact that he's a EX Pokemon means that we won't actually have to, for example, evolve our Fanfees, which might make Donphan sometimes a less practical card to run, especially since Fanfees can easily be one-hit knocked out, as opposed to our Gengar EX, which can't. So yeah, Gengar EX is definitely going to be the main Pokemon we're going to be focusing on using his Dark Corridor attack, and essentially what we're going to be doing, as with Donphan decks, is we're going to switch out and bring out an annoying Sigilif with its Safeguard ability, preventing our opponent's EX Pokemon from actually doing any damage to us. Or in case our opponent is not running any EX Pokemon, we also have 3 Robo substitutes, so we can put these little guys, and then again, our opponents have essentially wasted their turn, and they won't really be able to take any of their prize cards. So so that's how the gist of the synergy is going to work. Of course, we need a anti-pyro counters. So our anti-pyro counters are actually going to be mega-gengar-ex, which I actually think has a very cool attack. So by using his Phantom Gate attack, we can use one of our opponent's Pokemon's attacks and use it as our own attack. So that's very cool, especially say if our opponent has, I don't know, like a Landorus EX, and we want to snipe away at some of our opponent's Pokemon on the bench. Use our Phantom Gate attack, and we can go right ahead and do that. So definitely a very cool card. By far one of its biggest weaknesses, unfortunately though, is its darkness weakness. And I still see quite a few people running Evital EX decks, although they have been on a decline due to Mega Manectric EX, but still his weakness is definitely by far one of the biggest downfalls to the Gengar EX, Mega Gengar EX line. But definitely one of the positives is that he does have resistance to rock Pokemon, and given that Donphan decks are quite common, this is definitely going to be helpful. Also, I do want to say that I feel like this deck is a very powerful counter to the Night March decks, which people have just been using like crazy recently, because pretty much the vast majority of those decks that I've come across, they tend to not run any Lysanders. I don't know, like maybe I've seen like 1 or 2 people actually run some Lysanders, but I've faced quite a few Night March decks, and most people actually don't run any Lysanders. So as soon as our Gengar EX actually attacks with its Dark Corridor attack, we can easily switch out to, again, our little Robo substitute guys, and the Night March guys won't be doing any damage to us, and we'll easily be able to one-hit KO them, because the main attackers usually have very little HP, or if it happens to be a Mew EX that happens to be our opponent's main Night March attacker, again, our Gengar EX's Dark Corridor attack is going to finish off our opponent's Pokemon, so that's very cool. Some other Pokemon I want to talk about that we're actually going to be using in this deck is we're going to be running one Celebi EX. His Time Recall attack is definitely very useful, because even though we're probably going to be evolving our Gengar EXs into Mega Gengars, our Time Recall ability will actually allow our Gengar EX to use any of his previous attacks. So even though we do have our Gengar EX, we're going to use what best suits the situation. If we want to one-hit knockout one of our opponent's Pokemon and they happen to have a very powerful Pokemon on the bench, we can easily just copy one of their bench attacks. However, if we want to be sort of a coward, we can use our Gengar EX's attack. So definitely, I would highly recommend at least putting one Celebi EX in the deck, if not even 2. So some other Pokemon that we're going to be running as well is we're going to be running Zekrom. This is pretty much an Evital EX counter, just because the fact that our Gengar EXs are going to be our main attackers in this deck, and they're extremely weak to Darkness Pokemon. So Zekrom is essentially there to sort of make up for the weakness that we have. So I don't know, you guys might want to consider running 2. I definitely do find Zekrom to be a very useful and powerful Pokemon to have in this deck, just because he also has 130 HP, and his Outrage attack only runs on a single double colorless energy, so definitely a very useful card to have. And of course, we're going to be running a Mewtwo EX. This card, it's pretty self-explanatory. But just to go briefly, we're probably going to be using his X-Ball attack. This is just another strong, high-hitting attacking Pokemon that we do have. And if we feel the situation calls for it, we can definitely bring out our Mewtwo EX. So some of the trainer cards that we're going to be running is, first of all, we're going to be running the standard draw cards. I always like to include one Bicycle in my deck just because it's very useful. It's an item card and it doesn't count as a supporter slot, so definitely I'm going to run one of these. We're also going to be running 2 Colress, as well as 4 Ends and 4 Professor Junipers. So that's pretty much the gist of it for our actual draw support. And sorry, I don't know why it keeps going back up. Okay, there we go. Just want to let you guys be able to see the entire deck breakdown. We're also going to be running 1 Dowsing Machine. This is, again, just a very nice A-spec card to have in case we've discarded any item cards that we find useful. Particularly speaking, maybe Verbank or some of the Hypnotoxic lasers that we're going to be running. So speaking about Hypnotoxic lasers and Verbank, given that our Dark Corridor attack is going to be poisoning our opponent's Pokemon, we're definitely going to make the most out of it by actually running some Verbank City Gems. So this allows us to do 30 damage in between to our opponent's active Pokemon. So more or less, with our Dark Corridor attack, we'll be able to knock out any of our opponent's Pokemon in 2 attacks, at least the standard EX Pokemon, which tend to have 180 HP. Hit them with a Dark Corridor attack, that's 60, and then in between turns, that's an additional 30 damage. So it's going to add up to 180 into it. So definitely we want to make the most out of our poisoning. So again, since we're running some Verbank City Gems, we're definitely going to be using some Hypnotoxic lasers just to pile on the poison damage. Some other cards we're going to be running is we're going to be running 1 Escape Rope and 1 Switch. This is pretty much to get our Pokemon out of some tough situations. And again, Escape Rope will allow our opponent to actually switch one of their benched Pokemon with one of their active Pokemon, which definitely does come in handy in some situations. Another card that we're going to be running is 1 Startling Megaphone. Definitely useful to have. You guys might want to actually use 2 in case Garbodor is a severe threat, but I don't really see Garbodor being as that much of a threat. I mean, to a certain extent, we definitely do rely on our Pokemon's Safeguard and Time Recall attack for Celebi EX, Safeguard for our Sigilus, but I feel like 1 Startling Megaphone should be more than enough to counter Garbodor. I don't think Garbodor is actually going to be that big of a threat, in all honesty. Some other cards that we're actually also going to be running is we're going to be running 3 Ultra Balls. This is just to get our Pokemon, just the Pokemon that we want in the bench as soon as possible. So say we want to grab a Sigilif, we'll go ahead and do that. Celebi EX, Gengar EX, whatever. Definitely not a card I need to explain. VS Seeker I've explained many times. I always like to have at least 2 copies in my deck, just to grab the important supporter cards that we need. So yeah, that's basically all I'm gonna say about VS Seeker. 2 Lysanders, drag out our opponent's bench Pokemon if we want for an easy knockout, or if one of our opponent's Pokemon, say, happens to be a Pyro or something and we can't necessarily deal with them. Definitely you want to include some Lysanders. Very nice, useful card to have. More or less, the vast majority of decks should at least include 1 copy of Lysander. Some other cards that we're actually going to be including is 2 Floatstones. This is pretty much when we switch into our Sigilifs, attach a Floatstone, retreat those guys, and then keep on attacking with our Gengar EX while we prevent our opponent from doing any damage to us. Some other cards that we're going to be running is we're actually going to be running 2 Gengar Spirit Links. This is essentially so that in case we do have to Mega Evolve our Pokemon, we don't lose a turn, because that's a very pricey ability of Mega Pokemon that have traditionally made them relatively useless. But thankfully we do have these Spirit Link cards, and we're definitely going to be using them, so we're going to be running 2 of these in our decks just to Mega Evolve our Pokemon, especially if we're encountering a Pyro, because mega-gengar EX is going to be our main Pyro counter, and I would definitely see a very effective Pyro counter at the same time, just because our mega-gengar EX has 220 HP, so we're definitely going to give Pyros a hard time actually knocking out our mega-gengar EXs. Some other cards that we're going to be running is 2 Muscle Band, pretty self-explanatory. Not really going to go in depth with that. We're also going to be running 4 Colorless Energy, and as well as 7 Psychic Energy. And actually, we're also going to be running 1 Mystery Energy. So this is a pretty cool card, but I mean, I was debating whether or not to actually run more. If there were actually no enhanced hammers, I would probably be running 4 Mystery Energies and just 4 Psychic Energies. But given that there are enhanced hammers, which pretty much make this card to a certain extent rather useless, we're actually just going to be running 1 of these, and this will essentially allow us to reduce the retreat cost of our Pokemon by 2 stars. So again, we're probably going to attach this to our Sigilifs, just to help with that retreating in case our opponent does Startling Megaphone our Floatstone away. But yeah, so that's the basic breakdown. So with that being said, I'm actually gonna go right ahead and test out this deck. So I hope you guys enjoy this deck. Definitely a nice, cool deck to have. I've had a few battles with it. I definitely do enjoy it. It seems to be performing rather well. So let's go right ahead and challenge a random opponent. I also want to apologize to you guys that I haven't been releasing as many videos as I would actually like to, and pretty much the only thing impeding my ability is again the fact that my collection was gone. So it's just been I've just been having a bit of a difficult time actually getting all the cards that I need to actually release videos for you guys. So really do want to apologize for that, guys. Looks like our opponent is running a steel type deck. I'm assuming it's probably going to be a Bronzong Dialga EX type of deck, which is perfectly fine. Looks like we're going to start off with our Sigilif, so that's cool, and then we're going to go right ahead and place a Robo Substitute. I'll definitely try and increase the number of videos I release to you guys on a weekly basis, but again, really sorry guys, there's not much I can do because my collection is rather low, and I literally have to tear apart entire decks pretty much just to go right ahead and build myself a new deck. So really sorry about that. But okay, so already looks like we have a pretty good start. Our opponent is already brought out 2 EX Pokemon, and our Sigilif with his Safeguard ability is pretty much immune to our opponent's attack, so that's pretty good. We're gonna go right ahead and place our Robo Substitute. I'm gonna go and give a Mystery Energy to our Sigilif, and Floatstone's really not necessary right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and end and hope that we can get a Gengar EX to our bench. And unfortunately, it doesn't really look like it, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna go right ahead and end our turn. And I'm probably going to VS Seeker next turn just to go right ahead and grab that. And definitely don't want to use a Professor Juniper right now. I think we would be discarding just way too many useful cards. So not gonna use a Professor Juniper right now. Hopefully I am able to get a Gengar EX on the bench next turn. That'll be a nice card. Unfortunately, Dialga EX does have Psychic resistance, but I don't know. I still think our deck is going to perform pretty well. So let's go right ahead and see how that goes. I'm assuming our opponent's probably going to bring out a Bronzor to his bench. Definitely wants to get that that steel energy retrieval going and started as soon as possible. Yeah, so I mean it's pretty obvious that our opponent was actually going to do that. He's going to try and actually evolve his Pokemon as soon as he can. Okay, looks like our opponent's going to knock out a Robo Substitute. But oh no, never mind. I totally forgot to use an escape rope. But that's okay. Robo Substitute. There's no loss in that, so that's cool. Let's go right ahead and once again end. Unfortunately, it's gonna be useful to our opponent. You know what? I was gonna end, but I think like now it's actually probably gonna be better if I don't end. So I'm gonna go and use a switch on our Sigilif. I'm gonna go right ahead and use the switch. I'm going to attach an energy to him. I'm not gonna end because I feel like it's gonna be too useful to our opponent as well. So let's go right ahead and use the Professor Juniper. Bring our Gengar EX to our bench, and with that, I'm just gonna go right ahead and end our turn. Because definitely our opponent can't do anything against our Sigilif right now. I feel like if I can just knock out his Bronzongs nice and early, this might be a pretty nice, clean victory for us. Unless our opponent is actually running some Cobalion EXs, which it doesn't really look like he is. So let's go right ahead and attach the Psychic Energy to our Pokemon. And I'm going to go right ahead and Mega Evolve our Pokemon. So use the Skyla to grab ourselves a Gengar Spirit Link. Let's see where I can... Oh, I guess they must be prized. Wow, that's actually pretty unfortunate. But, okay, I guess I'm just going to go right ahead and grab a Muscle Band for the time. Oh, no, actually, yeah. No, actually, I'm gonna grab a Lysander, and I'm gonna go and drag out that Bronzor next turn. Hopefully, I'll be able to kill it before he actually becomes a real threat to us. So I'm just gonna go right ahead and do a paltry 50 damage to our opponent's Keldeo EX. So yeah, I definitely want to take care of those Bronzors as soon as possible. I will be able to drag it out next turn, but unfortunately our Sigilif is not strong enough to perform a one-hit knockout on him just because of the resistance. So I don't know, it might be useful. It would have been nice if I actually had a Muscle Band in our discard pile, but unfortunately we don't. But that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and place our Celebi EX down. I'm gonna start powering up our Gengar EX. And yeah, let's go right ahead and drag out that Bronzor. He does have one retreat cost, which isn't a lot, but so you can definitely retreat it. But I mean, again, it's gonna cost him one energy to do that. So I don't know if our opponent's actually gonna do that. Because again, his two EX Pokemon are completely useless. But then again, his Keldeo EX could use its Russian ability. Actually, it would have probably been smarter if I actually grabbed a Muscle Band. That was actually a pretty stupid mistake on my part. But okay. It's fine. Our opponent still is running a bunch of EX Pokemon, so I'm really not too worried there. I'm not gonna Mega Evolve our Gengar EX right now. I'm actually just gonna go right ahead and Colress. Our opponent doesn't seem to have a good hand, so I feel like N would probably not be a smart choice, and I definitely don't want to Professor Juniper again. It'd be giving up way too many supporter cards, so let's go right ahead and Colress. And okay, let's go and place our Zekrom. Alright, awesome. Looks like we actually got a Muscle Band. Um, Not gonna place the other Sigilif down for now, just because we might want to save it for another Robo Substitute or something when our Gengar EX actually does get up and running. So let's go and attach a double colorless to our Gengar EX, and again hit for 70 damage this time. So next turn we'll hopefully be able to knock out our opponent's Keldeo EX. So that's very good, and pretty much his Russian ability is going to be useless. Okay, looks like our opponent has decided Starling Megaphone us, but again, Sigilif can easily perform a one-hit knockout on our opponent's Keldeo EX, so really not something that worries me. Okay, so it looks like our opponent actually has gotten the Floatstone. I don't know who he's actually going to bring out though, because I mean, does he really want to give up his Bronzor? And his Dialga EX is completely useless, so I don't know. Really not sure what our opponent's thinking. And Sigilif's just showing us what a useful card he actually is to have, and that Mystery Energy is definitely nice to have as well, just because it allows us to switch out for Gengar EX in case that's something we wanted to do. But yeah, definitely not a good start for our opponent. Having a hard time actually finding his Bronzongs. So I mean, I feel like this game is pretty much ours as long as I can knock out our opponent's Bronzors nice and easily. So that's good. I don't know what our opponent's doing now. He might just be trying to waste some time, but I don't plan on giving up. So yeah, I really hope our opponent isn't doing that. I've actually been facing a lot of people who purposely waste time, and I mean, at the end of the day, not only do you piss me off, you're wasting your own time. Like, I mean, how much more of a sore loser can you actually be? And that it really looks like that's what our opponent's trying to do. Already, it feels like he's given up the game. Um, that's pretty unfortunate. Papasaur 66. I do not like you, and I hope I do not face you again. Especially if you plan on wasting any more of my time. Okay, so I am going to go and attach a Psychic Energy to our Zekrom, and with that, I'm just gonna go right ahead and knock out our opponent's Bronzor and grab a prize card. Thankfully, I finally managed to get the Spirit Link, so that's good. I don't know. I don't actually feel like discarding my Sigilif using Dowsing Machine just because I mean, in case this Sigilif does get knocked out, it's always nice to have a backup Sigilif because it looks like our opponent is vastly relying on his EX Pokemon. So yeah, I definitely don't want to use Dowsing Machine to give it up yet, and I don't want to give up our Gengar Spirit Link either because definitely do want to evolve our uh Gengar EX into a Mega Gengar, since we do also have our Celebi EX in our bench. So we'll definitely be able to use even our Gengar EX's Dark Corridor attack. But then again, a Mega Gengar EX has more HP, so why wouldn't I want to evolve it? Okay, yeah. So next turn, if yeah, I'm just gonna go right ahead and retreat our Sigilif, and then I'm gonna go right ahead and use a Dark Corridor, which is gonna hit for 40 damage, but due to the poison, it will knock out our opponent's Bronzor. And again, I'm just gonna go right ahead and bring out our Sigilif. So that's cool. It looks like our opponent is really not thinking actually placing his Bronzor as his main Pokemon. I guess he must just be thinking, oh, that Sigilif won't be able to knock me out. I'll probably be able to bring out a Bronzong next turn and speed up the rate of energy attachment to my Pokemon. But again, he's just wasting my time and his own. I'm not gonna give up. I'm going to beat you, Papsaur. So let's let's keep this going. I actually find people who waste my time extremely infuriating because I've actually been facing a lot of those people lately. So I'm gonna go right ahead and retreat to bring out our Gengar EX, and then I'm going to go and use the Dark Corridor, bring back out our Sigilif, and draw another prize card. Oh, actually, I was really not thinking there. Completely forgot about our opponent's Steel Shelter. So yeah, pretty much that it prevented my Dark Corridor attack from poisoning our opponent's Bronzor. That's pretty unfortunate. Again, I seem to be making a lot of mistakes right now. Sorry for that, guys. I've actually been pretty sleep deprived lately, but I really don't think that's really gonna change the flow of the game or anything. I still think this is gonna be a relatively easy victory for us. I'm probably gonna go ahead and grab a Professor Juniper next turn by using our Dowsing Machine and giving up our Hypnotoxic Laser and whatever other card we have at our hand. And I'm probably just gonna go right ahead and place our second Sigilif into our bench because again, as you can see, the vast majority of our opponent's Pokemon are actually EX Pokemon. His H/EX might actually be a little bit of trouble for us just because his Mighty Shield ability prevent my Pokemon with actual special energies from doing any damage to them. And both of my Pokemon actually do have special energies attached to them right now. So yeah, it might be a little bit of a troubling Pokemon to deal with. Yeah, I mean, definitely him bringing him into his main, bringing him as his main Pokemon is definitely probably the smartest choice he could do. So I'm gonna go right ahead and attach a Sigilif, attach our Spirit Link to our Gengar EX, and then I am going to go and look for some new cards. Yeah, so I'm gonna go right ahead and grab a Professor Juniper. Um, okay, so let's go. Actually, let me see how many. Actually, Colress would actually be a smarter Pokemon to sorry, a smarter support card to grab out, just because I'll be able to draw 8 cards as opposed to 7. Okay, cool. So looks like our Zekrom EX is probably gonna be the Pokemon I'm gonna use to attack our opponent right now, just because he's the only one that doesn't have any special energy attached to him. And yeah, so let's go right ahead. And unfortunately, we're only gonna hit for 20, but that's okay. I'm hoping to get our Sigilif up and running as well, I guess, just because H/EX might be a bit of an annoying Pokemon to deal with. Definitely. Okay, so it looks like we actually grabbed the mega-gengar-ex, but again, H/EX's Mighty Shield ability makes special energies only that much more useless, I guess, per se. But if our opponent actually does attack us with a Slash Blast attack, our Zekrom is actually going to be able to do a lot of damage to our opponent's H/EX, so that's good. I definitely want to knock it out as soon as I possibly can. Um, I may, I don't know, I may use a VS Seeker and grab a Lysander or something like that, maybe to knock out our opponent's Bronzong. Not really sure right now. Really depends on what our opponent's doing, but I definitely want to get rid of that Steel Shelter as soon as I can to take pretty much to take advantage of our Gengar EX and our Hypnotoxic Laser. So let's go right ahead and bring out a Sigilif for now, and probably gonna retreat him next turn and bring out our mega-gengar EX. Yeah, so let's go right ahead and Mega Evolve our Pokemon. I'm going to go and actually I'm gonna grab out a Mewtwo EX and place that in our bench. I'm definitely gonna make sure to actually not attach any special energies to him and use the most of his X-Ball attack. So let's go right ahead and Professor Juniper again for some new cards at hand. And definitely want to get rid of that as soon as I possibly can. But I mean, for now, I guess I'm going to go and retreat our Sigilif, use our Mega-Gengar EX, and let's see if any of our opponent's Pokemon's attacks should actually be taken advantage of. Um, Oh, actually, I'm gonna I'm gonna use the Chrono Wind ability of our Dialga EX, so none of his EX Pokemon will actually be able to attack us. So that's cool. So let's go right ahead and use Phantom Gate for that. Let's use Chrono Wind, and looks like our opponent's Dialga EX will not be able to attack us this time. So that's good. I mean, if our opponent is smart enough to just switch it out to his H/EX, he will be able to attack us for and deal 100 damage to us. But yeah, so it looks like he was smart enough to figure that out. Um, Yeah, it actually probably would have been better for me to actually use our Dark Corridor attack, but that's okay. Our mega-gengar-ex is strong enough to withstand some impact, so that's absolutely fine. Um, Definitely do want to knock out our opponent's H/EX or his Bronzong as well. Um, just because his Metal Link's ability is speeding up the rate of energy attachment to his Pokemon, but I don't know. Our opponent has been wasting a lot of time though, so I think he's hoping that I quit or something. But I mean, that's not really gonna happen. And it does look like he's actually performing relatively well against me right now, so that's good. I don't know. I don't know why he's wasting all this time. But okay, let's see what our opponent's actually thinking, because I really don't know. I think the only thing he's thinking right now is I'm just gonna keep wasting time and hope that I can win like that. If he does actually bring out his Dialga EX and use the full metal impact attack, that's gonna do 150 damage. So it's gonna be a lot of damage, but luckily our Gengar EX can always retreat just by using his Dark Corridor attack. So I'm not exactly too worried. I definitely do want to start using our Verbank just to poison our opponent's Pokemon. I don't know. He's really wasting time. Papasaur 66 is definitely not a guy I want to face again. I'm assuming he probably earned most of his rank just by pissing people off and forcing them to quit, which I guess he's trying to do it to me, but it's not gonna happen. I really, really do like. I really want to emphasize that I really dislike players like this because I mean, you have no Pokemon sportsmanship whatsoever. It's uh, it's just very sad that I mean, it's a card game that we're playing for fun, and you're that desperate to try and force me to quit that you're going to waste both of our time. That's, in my opinion, that's very, 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 very sad. You know, like you can see he's just absolutely wasting time, and then he's gonna go right ahead and resume the game again. I'm not gonna quit. Um, this guy's definitely pissing me off. I wish I could actually report him, but unfortunately, it won't let us report him. Even if our opponent actually had said anything in the game chat, it still wouldn't let me report him. So that's pretty unfortunate. But yeah, looks like he's the only way he thinks that he can still win is by wasting both of our times. And yeah, so let's all guys definitely do publicly shame Papasaur 66. I mean, this fight is being recorded, and we're just seeing what a sore loser he actually is. And I also want to say I'm sorry in case I do sound like I'm a pretentious prick per se, just because I absolutely don't think I'm like much better than the players that I face or whatever. But I mean, it's really become a serious issue just facing all of these opponents that completely waste our time just to try and get a easy victory. So go ahead and waste your time, and I guess waste mine as well. Sorry guys. I think this might be how the rest of the battle is going to go on. 13 minutes remaining. Looks like he's just gonna keep wasting our time. I'm not gonna give up. Um, Wish I could report this guy, but unfortunately I can't. I guess while he is wasting time, just gonna talk about some of my upcoming videos. So I'm hoping to actually release another booster pack opening sometime soon. I've been trying to gather as many booster packs as I possibly could because it seems that a lot of you guys actually enjoyed that. So definitely, guys, do look out for that. I'll definitely try and speed up the rate at which I actually release videos. It looks like he finally quit. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm sorry that this battle was nowhere near as exciting as it should have been, but definitely I hate you now, Pepsor66, and I hope to never face you again. Thank you guys for watching. I apologize if this video was nowhere near as enjoyable as you would have liked it to been, but if you did enjoy it regardless, please do make sure that you actually hit that like and subscribe button. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Thank you very much.